What's good, everybody? This is Brian with the Trial and Error podcast. Um, Jumping in, Fearless has some other things running, so he'll be on soon. Um, this week, we're going to conclude our jump into the 48 Laws of Power and talk about some of the mythology around it. Last week, we kind of decided to consolidate the 48 Laws of Power, so we're not going through every single one of them because some of them are redundant, um, and instead of debunking these like three or four different times, we decided to kind of make a master list of consolidated laws of power. And so that's how we're approaching this moving forward. I'm going to jump into my notes here and figure out where we left off. Oh, next week. Um, I think next week, I think Fearless and I kind of planned on um, going into the Rich Dad Poor Dad series and talking about some of the mythology around that. And the reason why we're doing these is because this is typically Rich Dad Poor Dad, 48 Laws of Power. This is typically the books that people reach for when they've decided they want to make a change in their lives or take on a new adventure, or maybe they need to change something about their psychology or about the way that they approach the world. And um, our contention is with the 48 Laws of Power specifically. Um, the biggest challenge with it is um, it's made for people that are near the throne or near the seats of power. Um, if you are not really in that position, or you're not in the position to wield power or anything along those lines, 48 Laws of Power will make you act like a sociopath. And that's not beneficial. A lot of this stuff isn't necessarily for your interpersonal relationships. And the unfortunate side of how pop psychology works is oftentimes um, people will apply this stuff to their regular lives and wonder why they're not getting the outcomes that they imagined. And so we wanted to take some time to kind of debunk some of the 48 laws of power, and not even say that they're useless or have no purpose, but recontextualize um, the right scenarios to implement these and the wrong scenarios to implement these, because the 48 laws of power is a highly contextual thing, and a lot of Robert Greene's books are highly contextual. They're based on what you're doing at the time. They're not this universal handbook for or a universal operating system for moving through life. And that's the case with a lot of self-help stuff. Um, People will take a self-help book and make that kind of their modus operandi or their entire Bible of the way that they use it, and then wonder why they're not getting the outcomes. A lot of this is really contextual. The 48 laws of power, there are specific contexts which make sense, specific situations you may be encountering or seasons in your life that make sense for, like, crush your enemies totally. But that's a very narrow frame. And if you make that your baseline for how you interact with people, you're setting yourself up to have some pretty fraught interpersonal relationships. And I've actually seen it play out with people who kind of make the 48 laws of power their personality. Um, on my live stream tonight, I'm going to be talking about the difference between hard power and soft power. And there are differences in terms of the way you apply power and things along those lines. A lot of times, specifically with the 48 laws of power, people apply them in contexts that don't make any sense for their life. If you are working your way up, or if we're talking about a family that has regular function, not some dysfunctional family where you're playing these Game of Thrones-esque power games behind the scenes. You don't want to use this as your framework to interact with other people normally. There's some narrow context where, yeah, some of these laws actually do work, but there's nuance to it. And I think that's what this show exists to do, is provide layers of nuance to things that are going on in society. So, like I said, we consolidated the laws because some of them are a little bit redundant. And really, the idea is reframing it as, this is what they're saying. This is probably how you should implement this. And yay or nay, if this law actually applies to normal people. Okay. And so I think we left off at law 5. And so, um, yeah, concentrated power. Yep. So that's where we left off. So we're on to consolidated law number 6. Courtcraft and social influence. This is, or social fluency. This is about courting attention at all costs. So this is a kind of a combination of 48 laws of power, 24 and 38. So we're going to pull that up and I'm going to put it on the screen. All right. Where is the list? I had a list here pulled up. But yeah, we're going to pull up the actual list of the 48 laws of power so we can go through them individually. And so we're looking at laws 24 and 48. Open this in another tab. It's trying to take me through. So 24 is play the perfect chord tier, and 48 is I think 48 is never appear to be perfect, if I'm not mistaken. I'm doing some of these off the top of my head. Hey, Fearless, how's it going?
What's going on, guys?
All right, we're wrapping up. We're kind of, I told him we're wrapping up. Oh, it's 24 and 38. We're wrapping up the 48 laws of power and application of said law. And so I've just started on the consolidated law number 6, which is courtcraft and social fluency.
Okay.
And that's going to be laws 24 and 38. I said 24 and 48, which was so I'm going to pull those up, Fearless, and then we'll get into it. So 48 laws of power. I'm trying to find an image that people can actually see on their screen, because the ones I've been pulling up aren't super visible on screen.
No.
And again, guys, the framing mechanism behind this is we are consolidating some of these laws because they can be a little bit redundant, and so we don't want to spend a whole lot of time, like relitigating laws that we've already discussed, and so that's kind of what we're trying to do. I need a good image here. Essentially what we're doing, and I'll talk about it while I'm doing this up. Okay. So 24 is play the perfect courtier. And the other one, 38 is think as you like, but behave as others. And so a lot of this kind of calls in, it's about blending in with the crowd, and not standing out enough to make yourself a target. And there are upsides, there are downsides to it. And so the concept that we want to discuss with it is, does this apply in regular life? Can we use this in regular life without destroying our interpersonal relationships, and things along those lines? And so that's the challenge. Okay. With that, put that there. All right, we're ready to rock and roll. All right. So I'm going to put this up on the screen. Can you see that? Let me see that. Did I turn my mic off? Did I turn my audio off?
Sorry about that. I shut mine off.
Okay. So we're looking at 24. Basically, the concept is, wow, they explained them in simple English. I kind of like this a little bit better. 24, they have to be in simple and discreet.
But yeah, you can barely see that though, man.
All right, let me go ahead and find another one. Fearless, if you could talk about it a little bit, playing the perfect chord here, where I find a different version.
So instead of doing it in there, let's just put it in like a slide.
Okay.
Because then you'll see everything. So then we can just kind of cut and paste.
Gotcha.
And then you know what I mean?
Yep.
So you said that you're on the 6th one or whatever. So what is that? Courtcraft and social fluency.
Yep.
So again, the pros are that it opened doors that competence alone cannot. And depending on who you are and where you're from, I think that you're going to understand exactly what that entails and what that means. What is that? We know that there are certain people who are extremely competent who will never get a fair shake. Never. I was talking to a buddy of mine
This is still too
about
small.
um, about racism, for instance, right?
We're just gonna zoom in.
And so what?
Said I'm gonna have to zoom in on some of these.
No, what I was saying was like take it from our notes
Uh huh.
and just um add it into a slide.
Okay. So all right, I got you. I think
You see what I'm saying?
I
So
think
then at that point, it's just a lot easier. Um, hold on. Sorry about this, everybody. This is trial and error. So you're gonna see.
we're trying to find the best way to
Hopefully.
deliver the visual for you guys because we want you to be able to see the laws as we're going through them. Last week I had a better slide to do that with.
All right. Um. So anyway, hold on. God damn. Are you? So I was trying to. How do you do this?
Well,
Yeah. No,
let's just talk about it instead of let's talk about the different laws and then
okay.
I'll work on the visuals in the background. But essentially, what we're trying to do is law 38 or 24 and 38, which is play the perfect chord here, and 34 and 38 think as you like but behave as others. And so a lot of it has to do with just blending in with the crowd essentially, and a lot of the framing around it is making yourself a less available target, uh, to stand out, the squeaky wheel gets the grease kind of thinking. And so essentially what they're saying is in order to attain power you don't want to stand out way too much. You want to kind of play to whoever is the person in charge's view of how the world should work. And so you want them to be coming to you, and enjoy your company. And oftentimes the person that is always pointing out the problem, killing the messenger essentially, the person that's always pointing out the problem, that's always hyper aware of the problem, is typically the one that gets kind of gets the one that gets the hammer, like they get hammered back into place. At
Yeah.
least that's how I phrased it. That's how I remember it from the transcript. Um, my issue with that is a lot of times, I don't want, if you're a good leader, if you're dealing with somebody who's a good leader, they don't want to be surrounded by yes men.
No.
They don't want yes men. They don't want people that just sit there and agree with them obnoxiously to no end. Because what happens when you're dealing with that is, you create this echo chamber of just your own echo chamber of thinking. Um, and nothing new really jumps off. No good new information pops off. And it's really simple, to not have good outcomes or be locked into poor outcomes consistently. And so, um, the challenge with that is I don't want to be seen as the person that's making waves.
Right.
And that's how bad teams go to die. I'll be honest with you. Like, where everybody is scared to point out what the obvious faults are because they're scared of the wrath of some person in charge who has an ego about him or something along those lines. And to me, I think, there's a balance. You don't constantly want to be the wet blanket that is shooting down everybody's ideas and things along those lines. But at the same time, you don't want to be that person that just goes along to get along either, because um, I've been in that situation where somebody not saying anything means we're all doomed to failure.
Right.
And um, one of the big things about power, and I got to be honest with you, one of the biggest things about power, especially if you're climbing the ladder, is you don't want to get any on you. Does that make sense? You don't want to get any on you. And
Right.
um, more times than not, that's a perfect way to get it on you because they'll attach whatever massive failure that your team had they will attribute it to the individuals within that group. And it doesn't matter if you come on after the fact, like, yeah, man, I saw this ship sinking and I didn't say anything because I wasn't trying to stick my neck out. I don't want a person like that on my team. Uh,
Right.
so that's just my take on both of those laws consolidated. What are you seeing, Fearless?
All right. So I think that we're on the, what is that, the sixth one?
Yeah, number 6.
All right. So I actually went ahead. Sorry about that, guys. Um, yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing just for now. Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. I don't think I could have said anything better. So again, I think in reality, almost modern workplaces are just nothing more than modern day courts
Hmm.
in disguise, right? Um, that's at least how I look at it.
Right.
Or whatever, because again, I mean, most people don't want to make mistakes. You find your girlfriend or boyfriend or your mates usually at work. Um, it's it's a fashion show, it's a popularity contest, so you got a lot of stuff going on at the job in general. Now,
Hmm.
there's some people, and it's just like high school. There's some people who go to your school that may not date anybody at your school. They might date only people outside of it because they don't want to share where they eat,
Right.
like in general. So and you may not even know that. There were people when I was in school, they were dating college people when we were in like sophomores in high school or seniors in high school. They were dating grown ass women, but most of the time you wouldn't even know that. Like you know what I mean? So again, I think that um again that social fluency, man. Yeah, I think that that's it sucks, and that's the reality of it.
Right.
You know, so yeah, so let's move to number 7.
Okay.
Do we have that
Yep.
up yet? Hold on, I will put it. I'm going to add that back to the stage.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
So
Boom.
consolidated law number 7 is actually taking 3 into account. Um, and so I'll actually get what those laws are. So we got 25, 30, and 34.
And 34, right?
All right.
And
So,
but so let me ask you: do you like how we consolidate a lot of these things because they are things that you consolidate?
yep.
You put them all together because for they're it's one thing after another.
Hmm.
They're subgroups of the same thing. So instead of us telling you that 25 is one thing, 30 is going to be one thing, 34 is going to be one thing. Again, trial and error is putting everything together.
Yeah. I think just for a frame of reference, because I've talked to people that are like strong adherents to the book. And so it's basically, and I already explained to them, we're not going to be repeating, like some of these laws do repeat each other and stuff
They
like
do.
that. So that was the concept of consolidating. But I do want to mention, kind of give a name check to what the law is exactly. And then we talk about the consolidated version. That's at least how I phrased it.
Yeah, for sure. I
All
love
right.
that.
So 25, um, law number 25 is where we at? So law number 25 is recreate yourself. Did I say 30? Make your accomplishments seem effortless. And 34, be royal in your own fashion. Act as a king to be treated as one. I don't have a huge amount of pushback on some of these. The way I would say this is the only trap I've seen falling into law 30 is oftentimes when you're doing invisible work or work that isn't where it has a longer tail on it, um, if you make it seem like it's effortless, people assume that you're not doing anything, and they don't even look at the outcome of what you created. They only look at, well, their job is easy. Their job is easy. They made it look easy, so they're obviously not doing enough. I've run into this buzzsaw um, specifically and narrowly running uh my shelter or whatnot. I had the hard group of kids. I had kids that had never really been maintained in a residential environment that wasn't a jail. And so um I did a lot of behind the scenes work to make the house run smooth. And the assumption was, well, he just keeps getting easy kids. No, I get assaultive kids that have juvenile felonies, but the perception was, since I made it look easy because I had done it for years, that I somehow had a lower work threshold. And so I started getting more and more tasks. And to the point where it made it impossible to maintain the quiet in my house. And then I started getting feedback because, there's all kinds of other things that were going wrong because I had so many other tasks because they assumed that my job was easy. Does that make sense? And
Hmm.
so I understand the concept of make it look effortless, but you really got to make sure that the person up top understands how complex of a job you're actually doing, and then they have a respect for you making it look effortless. So that would be the biggest pushback I have on that one. But the concept is create a persona that communicates value, ease, and nobility. The pro is people follow stories, symbols, and signals more than facts. The con is persona without substance collapses on the first stress test. And so for me, the stress test was, oh, he must have an easy house with easy kids. And so because he's easy, we're going to start adding responsibilities to his plate because it must not be hard enough for him.
Right.
So, but I don't have any problem with act like a king to be treated as one. But we also have to clearly define what acting like a king and being treated as one actually means,
Yeah.
because it doesn't mean act like a belligerent asshole. So,
No. No. Most of the time, it does not.
so at least
Okay.
that's how I perceive it.
All right. So perception is reality until reality is tested, and that's the thing I like about the reality of what we did. The pros of this, the cons of this, and then the reality of it. Because again, sometimes the reality may not necessarily um, justify the pros and cons of it or whatever. So you need to kind of look at it from: is it this? How does this law work? And is it not only relatable, but is this what word am I looking for?
Actionable, functional.
Yeah, I mean yeah, I'll use those. Can you actually do this in real life? Is it relatable to you in real life?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because again, I'm taking this sociology class, and what are the things that they said? I think it was in chapter one. They were like, they came out the box talking about how self-help is a piece of shit industry, and
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't really have, with all that money, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry, that does not have a lot to show for itself. And I'm like, wow. And again, I've been kind of saying that for years. Even as a life coach, I've been saying that for years. Matter of fact, I stopped calling myself that because I don't like the term. Like, what are you talking like life coach? Like, I don't like what. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
and, and then like there's this lady, and they were giving an example, and she calls herself a success coach. The fuck is success mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, success is something different to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So success to one person might mean to isolate their family. Success to another person is that they got to make it on their own. Success to another person is that they understand that the only way to succeed is with a team.
Mm-hmm.
So, success for some people is graduating from high school. I know that for myself. I transferred nine different times in 4 years. No wonder why it took me over 20 some years to decide to go back to school.
Right.
That shit was crazy.
Well, and I
You know, you
think
go ahead.
no, no, that may no. I'm going. I think everybody has their paths, And so your path to success looks different. So continue. That's what I was saying. I was just throwing that in there. Your
Yeah,
path to
no, I
success
mean,
looks different.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and that's to me, and that's the thing about success. I mean, is that what did oh my God, what is his name? Earl Nightingale said that success. How did he say that? Success was a worthy ideal. Oh
I'll
man,
look,
I gotta.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, please do. But like, yeah, he said success is something progression of a worthy ideal.
Success is the progressive realization of a
Of a
worthy
worthy
ideal.
idea. So think about that. Success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That basically means that success is whatever success is to you.
Mhm.
Period. So if you want to be a teacher and you're a teacher, then you're successful. If you wanted to be a philosopher and you became one, then then you're successful. And sometimes it's not even the destination itself. Sometimes it's the journey in becoming
Yeah.
that you become that. One of the greatest things I heard Kanye West say is that when he was in school, he decided when he was done. Like, think about that. He went to school and then he understood that he decided when he was done. It wasn't the degree that told him that defined who he was or
Mhm.
who he was going to be. He decided, nah, this is what I'm going to be and I'm done. Thank you for what you've done, but I got the rep. I got it from here.
Okay.
That's what he said. I'm not saying that,
Yeah.
but I think that everybody's success is different.
And to your point, I want to jump back a little bit to the life coaching thing because this is an observation I made. Um, and I think it's also why a lot of people who have practical working knowledge with things have a very difficult time transitioning into informational based content or social media and stuff like that because you know the bounds and edges of your knowledge. You
Yeah,
don't walk in presuming that you have all the knowledge and all the answers. A lot of times when you don't know a lot about something, but you are pretending like you are, people will jump, you will assume that your knowledge is more expansive and more robust than it actually is. And
right.
then people come in and take your knowledge and take the things that you say to heart and they implement them and do not have success in their own life. And so now the self-help outcome is muddied because the source they got it from had no practical experience in the thing that they were presenting.
Not
And
whatsoever.
but the counter to that is the people that are the actual experts are typically the ones that are least certain of their knowledge. And so when they communicate it, um, it's hard to unless you really spend time with them, it is really, really hard to buy into the BS on the top end of it, if that makes sense. People that don't know what they're doing are fantastic bullshitters. They're really good.
Yeah,
They're really good at telling you how
yes, sir.
how to do things and things along those lines. I've seen more people on YouTube talking about what it takes to be a successful restaurateur. Um, and then you go look and they've never had a successful restaurant. I've seen people say, well, this is how you get into drop shipping. Well, have you ever done it before? No, I saw, I chat GPT'd what drop shipping was, and I thought it sounded like a cool idea. And people never tested out these ideas. And then they tell people how to do them, but they've never executed and got any outcomes on their end. They never had any benefits on their end. And so, like I said, the experts have a difficult time because experts know where the edges are in the knowledge and it comes across. And when people see it, they're like, oh, this guy isn't 100% confident in what he's saying. I'm going to listen to Mr. Super Confident over here. And Mr. Super Confident doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Right.
Um, and so that's the balance. I think that's what happens with I think that's what happens with the self-help industry. There are no guardrails to make sure that the people in the space actually have proven success. Um,
Mhm.
in multiple contexts, because that's the important thing. You have to have success in multiple contexts and multiple frameworks.
And if you notice, that's why I put up on for my title, Fearless, Your Personal Philosopher.
Mhm.
So again, and that's from now on, until I become a therapist, That is what I would be called. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? So that's literally for me what things are. Okay, so all right, so hold on.
Eh,
It's searching. Are we good?
Let me get one more here.
Yeah.
I get one more off, and I think the what is it um you know the fallacy about knowing where the holes in the plan are more important than knowing how somebody has success, right? Knowing where somebody failed. To be honest with you, is and the analogy is, again, I go back to restaurateurs. If you want to learn how to open a restaurant, don't go to the people that are super successful with opening restaurants. Get a stockpile and a lot of information from the people that have failed at launching a restaurant, because you could get all the different ways that they failed and figure out what not to do. And then once you have that information, you go and talk to the people that have had success to see what they did. Because if you start
Yeah.
the other way around, more times than not, people aren't fully aware of the conditions that made them successful.
Mhm.
And so they can't necessarily tell you whether the conditions are right for you to be successful. I'm always leery of people that only share their successes and never share their failures.
Right.
But that's just something I've learned through experience. And I think
Mhm.
that's why the self help industry is in the condition where it is now, where you got a lot of frauds and charlatans who have never done the stuff that they're teaching people in real life.
And I have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
No idea.
Like literally not whatsoever. I mean, and it's one thing if you're going by personal experience. I mean, because I could talk about that all day long. Um, wanting to go to school for something, and that the school that I went to, it's in Golden Valley, Minnesota. So I could tell you about driving back and forth to from Omaha, working in Iowa, and then going to school in Minnesota. And funny enough, like the mainly specifically in Minneapolis
Hmm.
is where I was. Well, obviously Minneapolis, because Minneapolis, Minnesota, but in Minneapolis, and when they're doing those raids for the ice stuff, I remember being I remember those neighborhoods.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I know exactly what they're talking about because I was there. You know, like riding the light rail. I know what that is and all that. So again, I can't say that I went to school to learn this stuff because I learned it through real life situations.
Hmm.
But I can also explain those real life situations pretty well too. You
Right.
know, so like if you were to think about somebody like Mike Tyson, why doesn't Mike Tyson do what Don King did? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Mike Tyson knows more about boxing than Don King, right? But here's the thing: he knows more about how to fight.
Right.
He doesn't know about the business side of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, or the marketing, the advertising, the getting the fights. That's a so Don King technically, although he's never been in the ring, knows more about boxing than Mike Tyson does.
Well, and there was a learning curve specifically because I think Don King did transition, but you look at like a De La Hoya, right? Who was in the ring, but then he had a learning curve to being a promoter. He didn't just jump right in and have immediate success with it. There was
No,
a learning curve associated with this.
both
Um,
him and Bernard Hopkins, yeah.
yeah, and that's why a lot of you see so many like professional coaches who may have played at lower levels, but they never played at the level that they're coaching. But then they have some tremendous success at it. Meanwhile, people who have played at the level that they're coaching struggle to win.
Yep.
And just because you have success in one context with one set of knowledge doesn't mean that that set of knowledge is universal. You know what I'm saying? And so
Right.
I think people assume that. Again, just because you're a good lawyer doesn't mean that you're going to make a great doctor.
All right. Good
Uh,
point.
and I think people make these kind of assumptions. They make these assumptions about it, but I think people make these weird assumptions about, well, this person is smart, and so because they're smart here, they're going to be smart all these other places, and it don't work like that. Um, I don't know. That's just my take on it. I think um, once you put some of the knowledge under a stress test, what happens is the experts will say, I don't know enough about this. Let me go look it up.
Correct.
And the fraud or bullshit artist will say, "Oh yeah, I'll figure that out," and then they'll just spit out some BS that is counterfactual and doesn't really help, but it sounds confident. It's confident gibberish, well articulated gibberish, and
Right.
and if you are a novice, the danger is you're going to go with the person that sounds more confident, and that creates the problem in the self-help industry. You have a lot of people that look good on camera, sound good on camera, don't know what the hell they're talking about. um it's the RFKification of qualifications, right? Like, you have somebody who sounds to know what they're talking about, but is the least knowledgeable person in the room when they put them in a room full of experts. They just know they have a platform to articulate it better, right?
Right.
um same people that think Dr. Phil was like this masterful psychiatrist and all this other stuff, um, are they framed him as that, and people believed him, and his stuff did a lot of harm because people took his information without any understanding that he is just up there freestyling, like he's up there just making shit up as he goes along.
Right. So we were just talking about, because I just looked that up and I thought it was a Peter principle, but it's not. It's the Dunning Kruger
Dunning
effect.
Kruger effect. Yep.
It's the Dunning Kruger effect. And basically, what that effect is that it's often quoted, but technically it's about low competence and high confidence, because they don't think they don't know what they don't know. So let me so it's kind of like where you think just because you're good in one area, you're gonna be good in every area or whatever. And that's, unfortunately, that's not the case. Not everybody is a polymath.
Right.
All right. No, not everybody's a polymath. The polymath is a person that is good in multiple subjects. And when I say good at multiple, I mean they have PhDs in multiple subjects.
Hmm.
So like one might be a doctor, one might also be a lawyer, one might also be a civil engineer. Like that is a polymath.
Right.
Yeah. So like that would be like a kind of like a multi genius, if you will.
Right.
So yeah, it is.
So
Okay, did we get number 8 yet?
no, we haven't talked
There it
about it. It's
is.
not consolidated, but this one is consolidated, but there's only one rule. And this is just keep your hands clean.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Keep your hands clean.
Um,
Delegate dirt, right? But delegated dirt.
yeah. Ugh. All right.
Right.
Ugh. Okay. So there's a bit again. This is one that does have a narrow frame of application, right? Um, um, One of the challenges is, well, let me read what we have, and then I'll go into what my is on it. Influence without direct blame. Um, was it influence without direct blame? Outsource the ugly. The pro, it prevents reputation, opinion, optionality, and future alliances. The con, dirty work, still creates enemies, just not directly. Every power structure, the reality, every power structure has a consigliere class to absorb the heat. Um, Here's what I'll say. It's kind of the monkey's paw thing, because I think they mentioned monkey's paw, use the monkey's paw somewhere along those lines. The monkey's paw is where you, or the cat's paw is where you reach into the fireplace using something that's not your hand, so you don't get burnt, and let somebody else take the burn.
Mm.
Um, that if people realize that you duck accountability, um, that ends up becoming your brand.
Yep.
If you never take any level of accountability. On my end, I'm too accountable for things I don't have any control over, and I wear that. I will hold that L because I'm too accountable for things. But when you are known for always ducking the accountability for things, people stop trusting you.
Yeah.
We just lost, like, and Fearless, I know you don't follow football or anything, but that was kind of the case of what happened with the last coach at Nebraska, where there was never any accountability for the outcomes. It was always somebody else's fault. Um, and
Well,
then
we have another coach.
well, the entire Scott Frost thing, like the guy, they brought him
Oh,
in.
okay.
They brought him in, and he would never take any accountability. He always blame the players, always throw somebody under the bus and stuff. And then you find out, and I know this because just talking to people that are in or around Lincoln, this dude was showing up drunk to practices. Sometimes he wouldn't even show up at all. Um, People are seeing him getting carried out of bars in Omaha.
Dude, he's a millionaire. Like, who cares?
Well, who cares is the university that gave him $40 million to have a winning football program.
Right, but here's the thing. That also is
It's the accountability
also
fault.
that's also on them too.
Yeah.
Because he also has a guarantee in his contract that they gotta pay him out no matter what. So who what?
The person who hired him got
No.
fired. The person who hired him got fired behind that, bro. That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. He was.
I bet.
There were things where he wasn't showing up to recruiting meetings. He wasn't taking the steps to bring in the players and build those relationships and stuff like that. There was a lot of things that your coach is supposed to do as the head of your football program. He's basically the CEO of your football program that he was not doing. And then when they would have these huge losing records and these horrible losses, he's blaming the players like it's their fault. It's like, well, I mean, you didn't show up you showed up to practice late, and so the guy who did all this ended up getting himself fired, and that was the thing because they brought in the next guy, Trev Alberts, who is known as a hatchet man around here, who goes in and if there's dirty work that needs to be done with the program, he was the one that was going to cut it or axe it and be the bad guy. He came in and renegotiated that guarantee in old boy's contract and said, here's what the stipulations are for it. This is what you got to live up to. And so what I'm saying is this: since he never took any accountability for the on-field product, that ended up becoming his brand, and it made it very difficult for him to hold his job. Because if you're doing your best, like imagine you're doing your absolute best, right?
Gotcha.
Imagine you're showing up and putting in all the effort, and you're still struggling. And you're like, you know what? This is the place I messed up. This is the place I messed up. People are going to give you a longer rope if you're aware of the mistakes you're making. But if you pretend like you never made any mistakes and you never did a single thing wrong, and you always have somebody else to blame to take the fall, instantly they stop trusting you. They lose their faith in you immediately. It's this person's fault. It's that person's fault. Well, accountability starts at top, right? It's always a failure of leadership in a position like that. Right. So we're going to go blame the leader. That's probably what's wrong with CEO culture in this country right now, because you can get hired as a CEO after destroying a corporation.
Yes.
They'll hire you as a CEO just because you have CEO experience, and then wonder why every business you touch goes absolutely implodes. So I don't know. I think maybe this law is too ingrained because they always have somebody to blame. Well, it was market situations. It was this. It was that. It was this, and they never take any accountability. So I guess keeping your hands clean at all costs makes sense if you're trying to do, I guess, reputation management kind of stuff, where you have to really manage your reputation. And so any public mistake will derail what you're doing. But more times than not, I think accountability is more important than that, and showing that you're accountable for your outcomes. That's just my take on it.
Nah, yeah, mine too. I mean, but again, if we look at the reality is that every power structure has that consigliere class to absorb it. And again, first and foremost, some people may not understand what a consigliere is. A consigliere is Tom Hager. If you ever Tom Hagen. Tom Hagen was a fictional character on the movie The Godfather. Mm-hmm. He's the one he's the one who advises the family. Although he's not a part of the family, he advises the family or whatever. So he would be like the the person who thinks clearly when everybody else doesn't.
Right.
He sees things that nobody else is seeing because his objective is to stay calm and see what's going on, scan everything,
Right.
see things that you're not looking at. They also pick the leaders sometimes too, or whatever. And I think that that's the reason why um, whoever hired Scott Frost was let go, because it's kind of like, dude, like either you knew that he was like this or you're okay that he's like this.
Yeah.
Either way, you gotta go.
Hired him and put no guardrails around it. This dude was acting. I was in school same time he was. I was in college same time he was at UNL. And this dude was, Mr. Getting hammered, falling down, stupid, drunk, kind of dude, right? Party animal kind of college cat, right?
Really?
It's a problem if you're coming back because at the time I would have been like 44. If he's around the same age as I am, maybe a little bit older, you're coming back as a grown man with a mortgage and children and stuff like that. And the first time you land back in your hometown, you trying to hit the bar up and you're back into the whole thing. You're getting blown out in games, and then you in bars in Lincoln with your coaches, getting high and drunk and chasing every waitress that you can get your hands on. We're paying you for that. And that's why old boy got fired, because he didn't put any guard. Like, you put this guy, this is his first time in a head coaching position, and you gave him no oversight, no directives, no anything. Just here's a big pile of money. Go get drunk and get kicked off every golf course in Lincoln and all kinds of other stuff. Like, it was bad.
Wow.
It was bad. Bro was wilding, bro. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, there was no accountability. That's why old boy he got asked to step down, or he retired. They fired him. They said, hey, man, well, your boy, like, we having to carry your boy out of bars. Why are we giving him $40 million to lose?
Right.
And so that's what happened, bro. And so the accountability started at the top, and he ended up falling on the blade. That's why I don't know. And like I said, his reputation, at least to some segments of Nebraska, some people are going to love him no matter what. That's how the state works, right? You can do anything. You can have a child die on your pig farm, and people ride for you.
Jeez. Did that happen?
You can you can be governor, and people won't ask you any questions.
Yeah.
But there's also a segment in Nebraska that is really like, there's a level of it where there's specifically Nebraskans really like accountability, and he scratched them the wrong way. And all you gotta do is piss off a couple of them high level boosters, and they'll call Dr. Tom. They'll call Dr. Tom and say, "Hey, man, get your mans out of here, fire him." And that's what happened. So, yeah, there's a balance there. Like I said, if you're in reputation management, yeah, sometimes you don't want to get any on you, but not at the expense of looking like an unaccountable person.
Okay.
I'll give you the next one here, Fearless. Let's see. Number 9. If you want to read it, I can find the actual laws here. 27, 32, and 37.
Okay, so humans are driven by fantasy, meaning, and story, not logic. So the pro is that narrative scale influence far beyond raw force. Okay, I'm going to read that again because that did not sound right. Narrative scale influence far beyond raw force. What is that?
Okay, I'm looking it up right now, Fearless.
Okay, so humans are driven by fantasy and meaning and story, not what. Okay, I got it. So basically, we're more cool when we're being fed a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, we like to be lied to.
Like we like to be lied to. Like we don't like the truth. Or we like a little bit of shit with our truth.
Right.
We don't like the full unadulterated truth. We don't like that. Lie to me. Yeah. And it's so funny, even in philosophy, what is my man's name? Friedrich Nietzsche was talking about it. And he was talking about how people do not like being told the truth. People like to be lied to.
Yeah.
And even with that, it's like, well, I want you to tell me the truth. No, you don't. You don't want the truth. You want your version of a palatable
Hmm.
truth. You don't want the actual truth. Because if I were to give you the actual truth, you ain't shit. You
Hmm.
ain't gonna ever be shit. And not just that, your thinking ain't shit either.
Yeah.
Like, and if here's let's put the truth out. If you were to make everything equal across the board, those people that you guys put at the bottom will wipe the floor with your ass on top.
Yeah.
By tomorrow, you'd be at the bottom. By tomorrow, and at least you be in jail.
Yeah. Well,
So again, that's what that is. I'm
well,
gonna put it up to.
and I think the thing about it is because I'm about to read the laws, the exact laws here, but
Yeah, please do.
the reason, the framing, the idea behind that is the people lowest on the totem pole are used to levels of survival that the people at the top of the totem pole are not.
Or not. Yep.
And they can maximize, they can absolutely get maximum benefit in situations because they have to be crafty, they have to rely on their wits, and more times than not, the more comfortable you get, the more disconnected. What was it Bane said? Victory has defeated you, that kind of stuff.
Man, oh my god, dude, that is one of my favorite. I'm not really a Batman type of guy,
Yeah.
but dude, when Bane and Joker came around, like even when Joker was burning all the money,
Mhm.
like I don't care about this. That's like, and again, here we go, right quick. When when Harvey Dent, when Joker was sitting there with Harvey Dent, and he's like, "Hi," and he's just telling him like, "Does it look like I have a plan?" Like yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I didn't do that. Like they did that.
Hmm.
Like right, like here's the gun. Here you go. And he said, and what did O'Do do? Took his coin, flipped it.
Right.
He's like, that's it. Let fate handle it.
Right.
If it's my time to go, then it's my time. But that is kind of what that is. But again, I love what you said.
So
Victory has defeated you.
there's an interesting story in Batman. It came out
Oh my god, I love that.
about 2 years ago, where it was this small time criminal figured out who Batman knew, Batman's true identity was, right? And he was trying to sell them. This isn't a comic book. He's trying to sell them.
I think we talked about that. Yeah.
And the guy pulled him aside and said, one of the bartender pulled him aside and said, he was a small time criminal at the time. He said, we had knocked Batman out, and one of the guys tried to lift his mask off, and he's like, what jumped up was almost like a demon, like this demon. And so that's why people never pursued who his personal identity was. And there was a theme in the underworld was, because I guess he tried to sell them in the comic book, he tried to sell the information to Two-Face. Two-Face is like, hey man, I already know who dude is. I already know who it is. And
I love that.
And he's like, and if you say anything, I'm gonna kill you. Like if you sell anybody this information, I'm gonna kill you. And basically the concept behind it was, he knew that Bruce Wayne was Batman, but he also knew that if you removed Batman's ability to be Bruce Wayne, you're going to get nothing but 100% pure Batman, and that would make life hell for everybody. And so it's this whole elaborate story about people trying to kill him, Penguin trying to kill him, all these bad guys in Gotham knowing who Bruce Wayne is as Batman, and basically saying, don't disclose this information. If you do, we're going to kill you because you're about to make our lives this much harder. And then there's a whole thing where Batman shows up and basically pulls dude aside and is like, hey man, Bruce Wayne shows up at old boy's house and says, hey man, I got you a job in Metropolis so you can get back on your feet. Apparently it came out that he helped old boy's son when his son was trying to be a criminal and stuff. And as Batman, he helped dude out. And he's like, I'm going to set you up. You can go to Metropolis, get a new job, and be good and start making your life better. He's like, and when you ever come back to Gotham, if you need help, Batman's here for you. Basically letting him know, I got you. You don't need to go this route. But it was also a real flex on him. Like, I could destroy you at any time. Just I'm letting you breathe. So,
but that did actually happen in one of the movies. Remember when the dude tried to extort?
Oh yeah,
he's like, I I want however much money.
Yeah.
And then Lucius is like, hold on. So you're telling me that this guy, the head of this company, who's rarely ever here,
Uh-huh.
who's sleeping on binges and doing all kind of other stuff, is masquerading as a vigilante at night. Yeah, good luck with that.
And your plan is to extort this man.
And your plan is to extort this man.
Right. And
Yeah,
that was the
like,
framing mechanism. So
I got that. Okay.
So real quick, the laws, because I got on my tangent. You know, if you talk comic books,
I'm already knowing.
I'm getting into my bag.
Go
So
ahead, man.
the three laws that we just talked about are laws 27, 32, and 37. 27 is play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. Law 32 is play to people's fantasy, and law 37 is create compelling spectacles. And so a lot of it is the style over substance kind of thing. Fearless and I have talked about specifically the assumption that people make when we talk about cults and cult-like behavior. They assume that the people that are in cults are stupid or have lesser intelligence, and realistically, it's more intelligent people with average or above average intelligence who end up getting trapped in the cults, because a cult leader will play upon your pattern recognition and manipulate that and kind of position themselves as the person that has this magical ability to define things and figure shit out. And so then they end up completely submitting to you. And that's the cult like following.
Right.
The problem is, and we've talked about this, when you start playing in people's primal urges, their primal motivations, you're setting yourself up to unleash something that you have no capacity to control.
Mm-hmm.
And you start playing with people's fantasies and all the other stuff. This is a dangerous game to play with people. And the collateral damage, potential for collateral damage is immense if you're playing the cult like following. The compelling spectacle is great up until somebody sees through the bullshit, and now your compelling spectacle becomes a public embarrassment.
Right.
And what was the other one? Play to people's fantasies. Again, you're playing to people's fantasies. What happens when you play to their fantasies and they realize that they're being manipulated?
Right.
That's a dangerous game, especially if you're playing the power game. As soon as that gets revealed, instantly your opportunity to attain the power that you wanted, the soft power that you wanted, is gone.
Right. And again, going back to what Nietzsche said, you don't want to know the truth.
Mm-mm.
You don't really, I mean, you want your version of
Right.
truth, but you don't really want to know the truth or whatever. So again, going back to what we're talking about, reality is that leaders, brands, religions, movements, and influencers all run on narrative. They have a particular narrative, and their narrative ain't got shit to do with truth. Nothing to do with it.
Right.
And so if you think that way, then that's on you. But you have been warned.
And I think that's where people end up falling down. Like they think that they want the truth, but they only want, like you said, the sanitized or a version of the truth that aligns with their current beliefs.
Okay.
They don't want that raw truth that doesn't necessarily align with their belief structure. That's why ChatGPT is programmed to kind of agree with you, because people wouldn't use it if it was always disagreeable.
Right, which is really funny because I set mine up to disagree with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I need that pros and cons. I need to be able to see the holes in my boat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't mind being told, hey man, that sucks. You tighten that up a little bit.
I'm gonna share something in the chat. I'm gonna share something I'll tell you off stream.
Okay.
Because there's something I picked up earlier today that I need to yeah. So anyway,
but even with school, you know, they like I have English comp, which everybody knows you got to take that.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I submit something, every time I submit something, you have, before you can hit submit assignment, you have to hit is this paper yours?
Hmm.
Every time I submit an assignment in English comp, that's what I have to write. Every single time. I did have a question too that's kind of outside of this, but it's not apropos, but
Go for it.
still asking anyway. So, some of the assignments that I don't know how long they open those assignments up beforehand.
Hmm.
So like they'll say like an assignment is they'll open an assignment up on Sunday,
Hmm.
and then they'll be like, you have until Wednesday to get it done. Right? No,
Yep.
excuse me. You have until yeah. I think I think it's either you have it till Wednesday or you have it till Sunday to get the assignment done, or something like Wednesday to get the assignment done, and then to add um um to give a narrative on a discussion, you have a week
Right.
to get that done. So if they send me an assignment on Sunday, depending on what the assignment is, I'll have it done within 30 minutes, 40 minutes of them putting it up,
Hmm.
right? So for the rest of the week, I'm just sitting there, I'm reading, whatever I'm reading, but I'm waiting for everybody else to get their stuff in. And it gets to the point where I'm sitting there just waiting and waiting and waiting for these people to put their stuff in, which I'm already done. So I'm sitting there, I asked my professor, I'm like, hey, you just opened up a couple of these classes or a couple of these discussions, excuse me, assignments.
Hmm.
So I'm like, what am I'm like, I don't understand. Like, am I supposed to do this? Are we doing it again? She's like, no, it's not due until February 1st. I'm like, dude, I've been done with this for a week or two. But about a week and a half, I've already been done.
Hmm.
So so I guess my question is, and this is also for our audience too, because again, I'm 47 years old and I decided to go back to school because I like to, there's shit that I don't know that I would like to know.
Uh-huh.
And, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't, like, again, like I said, as soon as I see an assignment, I do the assignment
Right.
right, right then and there. I don't fuck around, and I'm taking 4 classes, which is obviously full time or whatever. And I'm like, how do I have so much time on my hands though? Am I doing something wrong?
No.
Like, you know what
No.
I'm saying? Because like with 4 classes, and I still go through like, bro, like let me show you what I do. So I got this thing right here, and it's a scheduler, right?
Hmm.
So every day I will write down. This is Monday, by the way. So every day I will write down exactly what the class is and what I did in it.
Right.
Monday, which is yesterday, everything is completed. Like for the most part. Now I still have to wait for other people to respond to do their work so I can respond to their stuff. But for the most part, again, I'm waiting for other people to do their work
Yeah.
so I can finish the rest of mine.
Well,
So I'm like, is that how that goes?
that's how it goes. The thing about it is, more times than not, specifically if you are in, a session where you have other working adults and
Yeah.
stuff like that, typically they're gonna get those lessons in near or even sometimes even after the deadline, just because they may
Wow.
have other
Okay.
stuff going on. Plus, it's kind of human nature. People end up procrastinating when it comes to things that they have to turn their brain on to do, and so,
Now
um,
I want you to think about what you just said there
yeah.
with what we do. So when we talk about trial and error, and this is the reason why we set this thing up, right?
Mhm.
When we talk about trial and error, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make sure you guys understand something. When we discuss this stuff, we're talking about what we go through and have done ourselves. So I'm not telling you to do something that we either haven't done, are not doing, or won't do with you.
Hmm.
There's a difference. So if something is given to me, I do it right then and there. I don't like waiting, because what if something comes up for the rest of the week and I can't get to it? That's why I
Right.
like to get everything done right then and there. So now it's done. I don't have to worry about it no more.
Right.
That assignment's done. Right. And here's the thing, I like to write anyway. So these papers, I'm just saying, for me, this is for me.
Right.
Right. And again, I don't like fucking around. Like, I like to get in. What's the assignment? Perfect. Read it. I'm like, what is this? I'll run the assignment through chat. Hey, what are they asking me to do? Okay, cool. That's what I was thinking. And then I open up Word and get to work. Whether it's MLA or
Hmm.
APA, I get to work. Like, I don't like to fuck around. I don't see how other people like playing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand that.
I think it's a different. Okay, so I think there's different frames, and this is just speculation here.
Please give it to me.
So fearless, you like the intellectual pursuit.
I do. I
You
love
like
it.
you like activating your brain
I do.
and putting your brain to work on task and getting and finding solutions and digging deeper and finding answers, right?
Mhm.
Um, that's what you like to do. More times than not, people tend to put that off if that's not what they're primed to do.
Okay.
If they aren't a person, or they may not have the emotional bandwidth, they may have a rough day at work, rough day in the house or whatever, and so more times than not they're going to put that work off until it's crunch time, and then they're going to do what they have to do to slap something out there. So it's going to look different for people that are more natural students who like to activate their brain and are enjoying the work, as opposed to looking at it as this is an obligation of something I have to do in order to get to where I want to be. So it's two different
Right.
frames of reference. And I think um you when they post it, you're like, all right, let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm looking for my today's challenge.
Yes.
This is today's challenge.
Yes.
Let's get it over
That's
with.
that's how I look at it.
And
That's how I look at it.
other people are looking at it like, oh shit, another challenge for today. All right. So I got to get this done, this done, this done, this done, and this done. So if I do this, is due on Sunday, so I can not focus on Saturday. I clear out some time to get all this stuff done. And
Right.
so they're back ending the challenge where you're ending the challenge. I just think it's different perspectives on how things
Right.
go.
I
I would
want
absolutely.
I want to show you this right quick.
All right.
So do you see? So this is my desk, you guys. Like, just in general, as you guys can see everything there. Brian's already been there, so he
Yep.
knows. But as you can see, like, all my classes are highlighted in different colors right there,
Uh-huh.
right? And then I have, like, APA stuff right there. I have MLA stuff over there, and then I have like the research paper blueprint or whatever. So if I'm writing something, this is what my paper is based on and all that stuff. So again, when I'm writing, depending on whatever the homework is, I don't like to fuck around. Like, I just bought um a dry erase board um 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 like book, like the big ones or whatever, so I can start writing and then erase and then write whatever I need to real fast, because I've been going through these type of papers so much, and then I'll get bored, not bored, but I'll get so much stuff in it, and then I'll rip it open or rip it up, throw it in the trash, rip it up, throw it in the trash. So I'm
Mhm.
like, why don't we get one where we could just write on it and then erase it, write on it and then erase it? I'm like, perfect. That works for me because I love to write in
Right.
general. Um, so I guess my thing, it's again, and I guess we could have talked about this off air, but it gets, I mean, I don't know. Maybe somebody needs to hear this or whatever. Procrastinating on some of this stuff. I again, I sent my teacher, the professor, an email this morning. Actually, I think last night. And that's another thing about me too. I'm always asking questions. because I want to be sure. And they're quick to be like, dude, just go look at the syllabus. I know, but sometimes I don't understand what you're saying. You see what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
for me, I gotta do it. So I gotta fuck up. I missed one of my questions yesterday on my quiz because I thought that the woman said that you cannot, because I'm taking a public speaking thing or whatever, right? Which is
Hmm.
all done. And so the lady says to me, she says, from what I hear, she doesn't want you turning the camera. So what she's saying is that if you're recording, you can't hit that switch button where the camera flips around on you. You can't do that. She said what she wants you to do is she wants you to hold the camera like this, and she wants you to turn the camera like that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Until I saw what she was talking about, I didn't understand because to me, she's like, you need to basically put it out, put the camera out, hit play or record, step back while it has you and everybody else in the frame.
Oh.
That's what I'm thinking. So I can not only have my son holding the camera, I also have on my meta glasses as well. So you got you see everything.
Right.
Everything. You see me and you see everybody else too. So I like to go above and beyond whatever I need to. But like I try to tell my son, bro, priorities for me.
Right.
I want to go do other shit, but I know that I have a responsibility to get my work done. So that's what I'm going to do. And guess what? I don't give a fuck whether this woman likes me or not. I'm going to bother her every day, all day. Bitch, 'cause I'm paying for it.
Hmm.
You feel me? I'm paying for it. Like
Right.
I literally pay your salary. So I don't care how if I'm this and the other, you gonna have to deal with me for the next 13 weeks.
Hmm.
It's not forever, but I'm annoying as fuck, especially when I want to learn something. So I just wanted to do a little PSA there.
Well, and I think again, it's the motivated student versus the person that just has that feels like they have to be there, you know, and so that's the difference. I know when I was in college, I would attack like abnormal psychology. I didn't have to get asked or assigned to read anything. I read the entire textbook.
Oh, really?
But when it came to math lab, it was hard to get me to show up.
Ah,
And so,
yeah, and for me, like biology, it's biology and math are gonna be my biggest things, but I want to learn them.
right.
I want to learn.
And I think that's kind of the difference, just different perspectives on it. In terms of what people's intentions are and stuff like that, because this may be a class that they ain't terribly interested in, but the next class they're 100% all in with. So it
Yeah,
is what it
okay,
is.
that
Um,
works.
so I think we are on um
10.
consolidated law number 10. Okay, so I have those pulled up. Um,
Okay, yeah, go ahead and talk about it, and I'll pull it up.
um, so the individual laws are going to be um 31, 39, and 40, if I'm not mistaken. And so these are going to be the different laws of control the options, stir up waters to catch the fish, and despise the free lunch. Um, and so the challenge with those is, and I'll read what I have, and then you can go on to what you got with this. Um, the challenge, the breaking points with these, with control the options, it works when the other party doesn't have the full information,
Okay,
or the authority is asymmetric, which means one person is clearly in charge and the other person is not. Think parent and child kind of thing. And the system is the system has a hierarchy or is a transactional thing.
okay,
Typically, the breakdown in this is when participants are peers or collaborators. This is controlling the options. When transparency is expected or enforced, or people can easily opt out and say, okay, you're trying to control the options. I'm gonna go somewhere where they ain't trying to artificially control my options. Okay. And so typically it all depends on the agency of the people involved. Okay. Um, the stir up the water to catch the fish. This works when you're in a adversarial environment, like where people are absolutely at each other's throats or competing. Um, Stakes are competitive, so really it's more of a competitive nature, and there's emotional instability already exists, which creates a lane for you to operate in. Okay.
Hmm.
The challenge is this breaks down when when you're dealing with long-term relationships, where the culture values psychological safety, or the group can retaliate collectively. So if you're sitting there stirring up the water to catch the fish, it's kind of the administration we're in right now. Like,
Yeah.
if you read any of the memoirs or anything, I'm not going to say that Trump wrote. That other people have written about him or written ghost written for him. His management style is this: get all your underlings to fight and compete against each other so that you can maintain control.
Yeah, that's what the apprentice is.
So they can't build
That's
coalitions.
right. That's what the show the apprentice was in general, of getting people to fight against each other
Right.
or whatever, instead of collectively, hey man, how can we build? How can we do better? How can we collectively do great? Because again, nobody's gonna watch that. So people do want to watch people be cutthroat and, well, you didn't sell this or I didn't do this. And so your whole objective is to undermine each other. So there is no sense of loyalty. There is no sense of unity. There is no sense of community. You do have a culture, but it's extremely toxic.
Yep. And it doesn't really build, like you mentioned, like you said, it doesn't necessarily build cohesion,
Not at all.
especially when you are running a country, you're running a nation. um the met
And
you know,
and if you think about it, he's running the country like he does his company,
right.
like this show, like it's a real life apprentice, but in real life, because you got people battling against each other for, I mean, for what? And again, like I keep trying to tell people, he will eventually, he's not going to be president forever.
Hmm.
At some point, and again, the really shit thing about that, and I'll just throw this out there real fast. Regardless of how you feel about him, even with the whole thing with even with the whole thing with Epstein and all that,
Hmm.
what are you gonna do about it if even if he is in there?
Well,
You know what I'm saying? Like what is anybody gonna do about it? You're not gonna do anything about it.
so
You're not
one
gonna do shit
one thing that
about it.
one thing that Innuendo Studio said, and this sticks with me all the time: fascism has no need for soft power.
Mm,
Soft power are laws. Soft powers are regulations. Soft power is standard operating procedure. Hard power is arresting people or detainment and things along those lines. And so it goes into what you're saying. What are you going to do about it? Well, if laws are soft power and his worldview doesn't involve soft power, it more involves hard power, which is coercion, forcing people to do things that they don't want to do. um yeah, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do? That's the
mhm.
philosophy.
Yeah. So
Who's going to
what are you
check?
gonna, like? Yeah, who's gonna do anything about it? Regardless of who you find in the Epstein files, you're not gonna do shit.
Right.
So you can keep. So again, you want to know who's in it because you're fucking nosy. You're not. You don't want to know who's in it so you can do something about it.
well it's
They've been knowing about this shit.
Well, it's also the idea, was it Marjorie Taylor Greene when she was trying to on her redemption tour, or whatever she calls this that she's doing. She mentioned that the call that she got when she was leaning into releasing the Epstein files was he's yelling, "A lot of my friends are going to get hurt by this." Think about that. His crash out was a lot of people that he knows and values are going to get hurt if that thing becomes public.
Yeah.
So that means they know exactly who's in it and who's culpable for what. And so, but then it goes down to, and so they release it and say, yes, these things happen. I'm thinking they're saying, so well, what are you going to do about it? And the country's already proven that they're not willing to take the
You're not
action.
gonna do
They're not
anything.
going to take the action because it would create a constitutional crisis. Well, we're already in a constitutional crisis. We've been in one for the last better part of the last decade. And so, yeah, what happens? What are you going to do? You're going to charge him? No. Are you going to arrest him? No. It's just going to be known.
You've already tried that.
It's going to be
Doesn't
known.
work.
It's going to be known that the dirt has been done and who this person is. And so they'll face social consequences depending on what's hierarchy of
But
society is.
depending on who,
Yeah.
he can't run again.
Yeah.
So again, it doesn't even matter
Right.
at this point. That man can do whatever the fuck he wants, and you ain't gonna do a motherfucking thing about it.
And that's what I'm saying.
Nothing.
The difference between hard power, that's hard power.
Yeah,
You
you
can't
ain't gonna do shit.
versus the soft power of we'll get the courts and all this other stuff. That is soft power. The actual physical detainment and arrest and coercion and persecution of people, that's hard power. So you know, signing the court order and saying this is what the law is soft power. The actual you getting arrested for breaking that law is hard power. And so,
or them throwing your ass in jail over some shit that they've done themselves, but it's illegal for you to do it. It's justified when they're doing it.
well, and then the idea is, I mean, I think, and then he's like, well, I mean, I don't have much longer anyway, so it don't matter what they do, you
Nope.
know. And so, the last one is despise the free lunch, law 40, and so that works best when value is ambiguous or intangible, authority is reputation based, filtering matters more than reach, breaks down when trust has not been established, network affects the matter, and the goal is adoption, not extraction. So free is not about value, it's about risk transfer. Early stage ecosystems require free or subsidized entry to create momentum. Refusing free often stalls out early growth. I think for me, because this is kind of the AI generate. This is where AI starts breaking down. For me, when they're saying despise the free lunch, they're saying if somebody's handing it out, don't take it, go earn it, kind of thing. And I think that's kind of what that law actually kind of states. At least that's my interpretation of it.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, or don't take the free lunch that, or that nothing's free.
Yeah, free comes with
That
handcuffs.
that free comes with something, but at the same time, though, I think that again, that's a culture that we live in here on the West,
Yeah.
or whatever, because other cultures don't feel that way. If you're hungry, they feed you. That's just a basic. That's a basic standard operating system for other people in other cultures. Hey man, you hungry? Let's go get something to eat.
Well, hell, I mean, I grew up with that.
Period.
If you come over my house, like, you know, when I was growing up, when we ate, everybody in the house ate. We didn't exclude anybody. I saw this argument break down, like it's tangent, but it relies it ties what you're saying. I saw this argument happen on Twitter where they're talking about in some race. You know, here's the thing: Twitter is a perfect center if you always want to hear what a racist person has, what their opinion is, or what their take is on any subject. All you gotta do is just scroll through the comments, and a racist is gonna pop up and make it about, you know, racist people, right? And so, somebody was saying, you know, their kid went over somebody's house, and I guess the family ordered KFC, and the family wanted the kid who was visiting to pay for their share of dinner, pay for the plate, and you know they were kind of shocked by that. And so invariably, Miss Racist Lady pops up and she's like, "Well, KFC tells me exactly what demographic it was." And so it's like, nah, black people ain't doing no KFC like that. That's one.
No, not at all.
And two, have you ever tried to refuse a plate at a black person's house? Have you ever tried to refuse a plate when it's offered?
Yeah,
He'll fight
like,
you
no,
to the
no,
ground.
you hungry, man? Come on.
Yeah, come and
Sit
eat.
down and eat. Come eat.
And
Come
so
eat.
I replied back like, "Nah, man, this reads like white person too. That's really racist." But then the other side to the other side is, um, you have people that liked it because they fell into that stereotype. Um, I think what happens is, when you take that kind of conversation to Twitter, um, again, all the racist always going to pop out and opine on it and try to make some kind of joke, because this person was one of them Joe Rogan esque comedians. She's in that circle, um, and it didn't land at all. But the other side is, from a cultural standpoint, um, depending on what subgroup you're in America, I've experienced that, where you can't leave without a plate. I've experienced that in suit in South Asian homes. I've experienced it definitely in Black people's homes. I've experienced it in indigenous homes. I've experienced it in Latino homes. And so I think when we say it, I think we're talking about, kind of Europeanized white Western culture, where it's that high individualism. Not even that; it's the high American, high American, high independence based kind of thing. But I also heard that that's kind of what happens in Norway, where they say, if you're going over somebody's house, and Norwegians clocked in on this, if you go over somebody's house in Norway, um, if they weren't planning on you eating, you got to just sit up in whoever's room until they're done eating. They weren't planning on feeding you, so you don't get to eat.
Oh wow.
And they say that's they're talking about that's kind of a norm thing in Norway. And so people like, that's really weird. And Norwegians are like, what? You're just going to feed everybody? Yeah. So there's different. I think when we talk about it, um, when we talk about America as a melting pot, there are cultures right here where, hey man, if you at my house and we eating, you eat too, and that's just the expectation. And there are places where it don't work like that. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I just,
you know what's funny about that, man, is if you go into your scripture and look at the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, for instance. It's so funny because people think that, like, even sodomy and all that stuff, whatever it is, it's linked to some type of sexual act
mm-hmm,
or some type of sexual perversion. But if you actually go deeper into the story, it has absolutely nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with hospitality.
mm-hmm,
Every and when I first heard that, I'm like, what? And it didn't dawn on me until I kept reading and kept reading. And they had mentioned it multiple times in like in that particular era during that particular time. And they'd also stated it before, after, I think in the New Testament, of what happened in the Old, which is what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah, was because of hospitality. Hence, that's why Jesus is always talking about be kind to your neighbor,
mm-hmm.
treat your neighbor as you do yourself. This and the other. Be cool to other people because they believe hospitality was a huge thing, and it still is. Maybe not necessarily in the Western
Mm-hmm.
culture, but in the Middle East culture, in the Eastern culture, that shit is deep with them.
Yeah.
Like even with Muslims, if you look at that lone lone warrior or whatever that was about the Latrell something lone wolf
Yeah.
um about the something Latrell how he got
I'll look it up.
they went over to I think Afghanistan and they got stuck over there the SEALs and a bunch of them died and there was this particular small village all Muslim. They found him and they nursed him back to health until his people came and got him, even at the behest of dying to protect that man.
Mm-hmm.
Hospitality is something that's real, or whatever. And so whatever is Latrell, whatever he and the guy who saved him, he still fuck with that man still to this day.
Right.
because he saved his life. Yeah, he didn't have to be hospitable at all. They the people the terrorists could have came and just they could have gave him up. He had his whole head cut off. Or if you run across one of them white Muslims out of one of them other like Tajikistan or some shit,
Yeah.
them type of dudes, they'll skin you alive. Like you were a fucking fish.
Right.
Like they can skin you. They'll skin you while you're a man. You know how crazy that is?
Getting flayed. That's
Like
what you.
getting filleted.
Well, and I'm kind of reading about
Like you were a carp.
the Latrell dude there. If
What's
you
his
look,
name?
Marcus Latrell.
Marcus Luttrell. Because he has a twin. It's Marcus and I forgot what his twin's name is, but they are, they're not fraternal. They're identical twins. They look exactly alike.
Right. And I think again, the concept of breaking bread, it is, it's one of those things where we talk about the Abrahamic version of the Bible and stuff like
That
that, and
part.
how all these religions are kind of interconnected and have a lot of overlap in the origin stories and stuff. But it's weird to think in a country that identifies where a lot of people try to identify will claim that it's a Christian nation or whatnot. The fact that we still have this thing where a child could come over your house and there's question about, is this kid going to eat when we eat? Like, and there are houses that operate in that framework where the kid doesn't, your guests don't eat when you eat. That's a
Right.
very, and when you look at the idea of breaking bread in a religious tradition, where eating is a communal thing, and you eat to bond with one other and show fellowship towards each other. It's just weird to me that there are people that will do the church thing on Sundays, but still won't, uh, still have questions about when a guest comes over. When it's time to eat, does the guest get a plate?
Yeah.
That's weird to me. And that goes into that kind of picking and choosing what your morality is, or what your scripture, picking and choosing based on what scripture that you want to follow. Because the idea that the fact that turns into an argument on social media, whether you're obligated to ensure that your guests have a seat at the table when everybody else is eating. That's just a weird concept. I grew up in a world where that was not real. If your friends were over the house when it was dinner time, you all ate dinner together, and there was enough for everybody. Even if there wasn't, you figure out a way to make it work.
Right.
And I guess to me, that's just a weird mind state to have, where where I almost feel obligated to make sure that everybody has enough to eat. And so I don't know. It's a weird juxtaposition that is a conversation that happens in this country, considering how Christian
Again,
everybody wants to.
right. But again, that's when we talk about the truth.
Right.
And again, we don't want the truth. We want our we want to taste our truth with a little bit of bullshit.
We want our free market Bible. We want our
Yeah.
we want our
Like
free we want our
again,
free market Bible.
right. And that's also the reason why if you notice when people start talking about when you start seeing all these religious and biblical quotes, they never quote Jesus. Like Jesus ain't never quoted in any of this shit. Being good to each other. Uh, 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 whatever you've done to them is what you've done to me.
Right.
The people that you've treated, that you sent to jail, you did that to me. But yet instead, these motherfuckers call themselves a Christian. You're not a Christian. What you are is a Paulinian.
Yeah.
There's a difference. You don't follow Christ, you follow Paul. You follow the teachings of Paul,
Mhm.
not Jesus. They are not the same thing. And again, I love reading the Bible.
Yeah.
Love reading it. And I'm telling you, y'all not following Jesus. You're following Paul. Which I mean, that's cool too if that's what you want to do. But don't call yourself Christian.
Well,
I
and
wouldn't.
I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to hear ramblings about how this is a Christian nation and everything, but in your house there's a question about whether your children's guests get to eat when y'all eat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if there's a question about it, like, should we do it? Like, are we going to feed them? Oh my God. If you're doing that, then you can't necessarily say that you are adhering to the scripture as it's written in multiple places. So, all right, that's how do we get on this one?
I have no idea.
um,
I don't know. All
so
right.
I
Um,
al- I always offer food when yeah, right. I always offer food when I always offer have the rule when I serve food, help yourself, right? We used to say in my house is like um eat as much as you like, but take all that you eat all that you take. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Don't waste the food.
yeah. Don't waste our food.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, and I get that. I think that most people would understand that.
yeah, it's just a weird thing. Like I said, that's a far aside. All right, I think we need to move on to the next law because we've been talking about this one.
Yeah, that particular one. Give me a
Uh,
second. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and start reading, you're good.
all right.
I'm
So
almost done.
consolidated law 11, timing, limits, and pacing. So the core idea is power depends on knowing when to start, stop, wait, push, or reform. The pro is timing and multiples impacts without increasing effort. So you can really leverage your time. Um, when I say leverage, that means you get the most out of the least. Um, and so the con is hesitation looks like caution until it looks like incompetence. The reality, most victories are lost not in the battle, but the aftermath of the victory. So I'll
Mhm.
go ahead and pull up the actual laws here if you want to chop it up about that, Fearless.
Okay, so the pro is that timing multiplies impact without increasing effort. I'll say that again because sometimes I get kind of timing multiplies impact without increasing effort. The con is that hesitation looks like caution. And so go ahead, give it to me.
All right,
Until it
so
looks
this
like
is
incompetence.
I got hyped about this because I actually talked about this on my live stream. Law 29, plan all the way to the end. Law 35, master the art of timing. Law 45, preach the need for change but never reform too much at once. And law 47, do not go past the mark you aim for. All right.
Okay.
So I will tackle the plan all the way to the end and master the art of timing. Okay. Here's what the problem is. And the context I'm putting it in is my mission is to teach people how to start recording themselves by hook or by crook, right? What I keep running into are people that want to plan all the way to the end when they're planning out their content journey, when they want to start getting online, recording their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Invariably, you have somebody that's going to say, I want to knock out all, I don't want to have any ambiguity. I want to know what happens. If X happens, I do Y. Here's a problem. People are trying to optimize for a situation they never encountered before. I'm going to repeat that. When you try to plan all the way to the end, especially when it's something you've never done before, you have no experience with, people are trying to optimize for a situation that they've never encountered before. And they'll lock in on a specific plan or a course of action. But when the fundamentals change or the situation shifts to something that is unfamiliar, now you have no plan. And you've never created a fallback for you to pivot to. And so now you're just adrift.
Okay.
So I understand in some contexts where you are familiar with the layout and landscape of what you're actually planning, that can work. But if you're entering uncharted territory or doing things that you've never done before, planning all the way to the end is a quick way for the thing to end early. Because you're going to run into some territory or drift into some turf that you've never encountered before. And since you don't have your plan in front of you, you're not going to be able to adjust.
Right.
And more times than not, like the other side is master the art of timing. There's nothing wrong with mastering your timing. But again, when you're trying to time something that you've never experienced before, you have no frame of reference to master the art of timing. And so I see people like, I'm going to jump in on this day, or I'm going to start on this day, I'm going to start on that day. They're playing this weird timing game like they're going to time their success as opposed to just getting out there and doing the thing and learning the real data behind it.
Right.
Um, I'm big about getting in there and doing the thing and getting the data points and learning how to execute the thing better as opposed to I'm going to sit here and plan this whole thing out all the way to the end, and I've never seen it sight unseen, blah blah blah. I don't subscribe to that much of it, if that makes sense. There's
Right.
benefit in it, but um, and so um, like I said, where it works is planning all the way to the end. It works with large institutions, political strategy, long cycle negotiations, capital intensive plays where mistakes are expensive. Where it breaks down, fast moving markets or fast moving anything, creative work, startups, media, content, and culture, and situations requiring iteration and learning. If you need to learn while you're moving, you cannot play all the way to the end.
Right.
Over planning is just procrastination dressed up in a fancy suit.
And yeah, and that's just it. Like the one thing I was asking when I started school was like, hey, like what can I do for extra credits? Like, is there anything I can do? Like, I always want to know because I know that I know me and I'm willing to go above and beyond what is asked of me to do.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And so if this is what I'm looking at for school, you don't think I'm gonna take the same type of thinking to life in general? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm taking this everywhere.
Right.
I'm trying to go everywhere with that same idea, with that same concept, with that same ideology to everything I do. So then when we get on here and we talk about, whether it's schoolwork, whether it's starting a business, whether it's um, cleaning up your backyard, cleaning up your own backyard before you start talking about somebody else's stuff or whatever, trial and error is all based on what we're doing and what we've done
Mm-hmm.
already and what we're willing to do. All that sitting around talking about what can be done and what should be done, man, that's what's up. But at one point or another, you have to stop talking and start acting.
Exactly. Exactly. That is exact that fearless, you said it perfectly. You got to take action. All that talking and planning and all that other stuff, that don't mean nothing until you actually you can't plan for something you never encountered before. And I think people get too caught up in they get too caught up in their own thinking. They fall too much in love with their own thinking. And we fall too much in love with your own thinking. It's a really comfortable place for you to stay. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think you just nailed it, man. Like, people I can riff on this one because I actually did multiple live streams about this last week. Um,
Did you?
yeah,
What were you talking about?
just this entire we're gonna plan this. Where I'm gonna plan this. I'm gonna magically sit down and plan for every contingency before I start,
Yeah.
and you'll be sitting there planning for contingency from here to infinity, because there's always something that can go wrong. And if you're trying to have a backup plan for everything that goes wrong, as opposed to just getting out there and realizing what is likely to go wrong and accounting for that, then having this whole raft of things that might go wrong but never occur. You just wasted a whole bunch of time. Get started and figure out and learn on the way.
Right. And I think that I forgot where I got it from, but it was talking about majority of the problems that we have, majority of the hesitation that we have is all based on our thinking, as opposed to anything that we've actually seen for ourselves or even experienced. So the reality is, if you guys look up there, is most victories are not lost in the battle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not lost in getting there. It's not lost in even arriving. Most victories are lost in the aftermath of the victory within itself. So it's not, hey, I got this. You lost, you lose after that.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. What does that mean to you? That most victories are not in the battle itself, but afterwards. What do you think?
Was it a Pyrrhic victory or a Pyrrhic victory? How do we say it? Pyrrhic victory. That is where the win cost you more than the loss did the other side.
Mm, that is amazing. Okay, so shit. I'll stop talking. I gotta write that down. So how did you say that again?
The Pyrrhic victory to be based.
Are you saying empiric?
It's I'll put it on screen here. It's Pyrrhic. Is it Pyrrhic? Pyrrhic. I can never. Anyway,
I think
basically,
that's
it's
Pyric.
huh.
Isn't that
It could
not?
be Pyric or it could be. I thought it was Pyrrhic. The way it looks like. I mean, it's
So
Pyrrhic.
Pyrr.
It's Pyrrhic. It's a Pyrrhic victory.
Pyrrhic victory.
Yep, I just did the pronunciation.
Okay, so Pyrrhic victory. Now say that sentence that you said.
So it's basically when you win, but you're in a worse position than the person who lost, essentially. So the real definition is one at too great of a cost to have been worthwhile for the victor.
Okay, so it's kind of like you put all this energy in to this thing over here defeating them.
Hmm.
So yeah, they may have lost, you may have won, but at what price did you pay
Yes,
for that?
exactly.
Like so yeah, you may have killed all the zombies, but you but we don't got no more ammunition no more because you killed all the zombies.
Yep.
And now they keep coming and we're out of bullets now because of you,
Right.
because of your win. So you had to do this, but because of this, it cost us this over here.
Right.
I like that. That's deep.
Like Vietnam for America was kind of a pyrrhic victory.
Oh wait.
um the war in Afghanistan for the Soviet Union, that was the ultimate Pyrrhic victory because that's the thing that ended up collapsing the Soviet empire and that Soviet bloc. That's what brought the Iron Curtain down because they dumped so much resources into conquering Afghanistan that when they reached their win, it ended up costing them their entire governmental system that they had since World War II. And so it was a Pyrrhic victory. The win cost them more. And so um this idea, you know, that you're gonna actions have consequences often for other people. All right. Right. And so sometimes people get so obsessed with the win that they don't see what was lost. We deal with it all the time as in my basketball business.
Christopher, that is that I don't think I could have said it better. That perfect. I like that. He said actions have consequences often for other people.
Uh-huh. And
We know that pretty well though, don't we, Christopher? We
and
know that pretty well.
I think some people get too caught up in the exhilaration of winning the thing and they don't look at what the actual cost, what benefit do they get out of winning?
Right.
Like if you put all this time and effort into winning a thing and but at the end of the day the thing that you won ended up costing you your sanity or your time or a bunch of money and everything, what did you win really? And was it really worth a worthwhile battle to engage in? Or could you have stayed neutral or even taken the loss and ended up with more? People don't think like that. And more times than
Right.
not, we are defined by how we win. Um, hostile takeovers and corporations tend to have that effect. I think when Boeing and was it Boeing and Lockheed Martin or whatever
Mm-hmm.
merged, that was kind of a Pyrrhic victory because yeah, they acquired and grew bigger, but since Boeing was known for its quality of planes
All right.
and Lockheed Martin was known
It's
for
not.
is not known for its
It's
quality,
they're known for cutting corners
cutting corners.
constantly.
And so what happened to Boeing's name as a result when they brought in all the
Oh
Lockheed Martin
man.
fast and loose kind of people, and now they got decades and decades of lawsuits based on slipshod kind of construction that was the standard with Lockheed Martin. And
Right.
so Boeing's name ended up getting drugged through the dirt. So their merger was a Pyrrhic victory because yeah, they grew bigger. Everybody got richer, but it was at the cost of the reputation of one company that was known as the gold standard for
Oh my gosh.
for
Right.
plane manufacturing. And now they are people don't trust the brand at all. So even if they had a complete 180 in the way that they did things, where they were slow and plodding and consistent and double and triple checking all mistakes, if they brought that back from the old Boeing, people still wouldn't believe them. Pyrrhic victory.
And so I'm looking
Victory has
for
defeated you. That's exactly what that is.
victory.
Victory has
Victory
defeated.
has defeated you.
That is a Pyrrhic victory. Is when
Oh my
victory defeats you.
gosh. I'm just saying, like, dude, that I'm looking for Maytag. So there was a couple different machines. I remember this dude came to the house and he fixed my washing machine, and we were sitting around talking about it, and he was
Mhm,
telling me how I don't know if it was the name of washer and dryer
mhm.
thing or whatever. Um, I think Maytag got bought out
Yeah,
by somebody else, or somebody else bought Maytag. I'm not sure which one it was, but one of them had a superior um, past, and
it might have been Maytag. If I'm not mistaken, the Maytag has been the kind of the mark of stand for a long time. It was the mark of excellence within appliances. If I'm
well,
not
okay.
mistaken.
So then whoever, okay, so here's the thing. If I'm not mistaken, I think that they sold it,
Mhm. I'll
or
look
I
it up.
think they merged with somebody else who bought them, right? And whoever bought them, again, did shitty work,
Right.
whose stuff would actually get trashed all the time. And but the problem that Maytag had is that people, once you bought one of their products, you didn't need to buy another washer, dryer, or any appliance for a long time,
Hmm.
right? Again, so like German engineering, Japanese engineering, they don't mess around with that stuff. Chinese engineering, a lot of that stuff, like they're not playing around. They want to do the best job that they possibly can. And the way things are today, the way that they are now, your shit's only good for maybe five years at most.
Hmm.
I mean, think about cars. I mean, you used to be able to keep a car for 15, 20 years.
Right.
Nowadays you can't do that. I mean, now if you had one, the new cars that they're making today, again, a Pyrrhic victory.
Hmm.
The new cars that they're making today will not last. They're not built to last for 20 years.
Planned
They're not
obsolescence.
they're not made for that. They're not built for that. So I'm sorry, what? Say that again.
It's that planned obsolescence thing, right? So we're gonna force you to buy. We're gonna make this thing with inferior components, and so that it expires right as your warranty expires,
Isn't that
and
crazy?
so you can't. We're not on the hook to repair this thing that we've put in that we've sold you. We have no obligation to repair it, and you got to buy a new one. And it's a weird thing that this is kind of what they call it, the enshittification of America, where services and goods are taking on lesser quality, um, because we want people to consume more, and in the process of consuming more, people have less and less faith in these things, and they're willing to pay less and less for these things. um, Perfect example, in our house we have a dishwasher. It used to be, was it, I don't know if Whirlpool, GE, or whatever. um, and
Whirlpool.
yeah,
Whirlpool. That's what I was thinking about. Whirlpool.
and um, we got it, and we got it, and it was a one that we bought it and brought it into the house. We paid for it. We replaced the old dishwasher, brought in a new one, and this thing is gone. This thing, like, just decided it was going to stop working,
Right.
and the cost to replace it is more than the cost to buy a new one.
Right.
But we are not even wanting to go with the same brand anymore, because I'm not going to buy another one just for this thing to crap out, you know? And so I remember the dishwasher my mom had. She had that thing from the time I was born till I moved out when I was 22 years old. And that thing was old when I was little.
Mm-hmm.
Our washer and dryer, she had like one of the first washer and dryers. And whenever the thing broke down, we called the repair guy. He came in, put a new belt in it. That thing was working like a champ. You know what I'm saying? And so we this planned obsolescence thing, it is this, it's a diminishing returns game because people are wanting to pay less and less for this technology that just breaks down anyway.
Right. Okay, hold on one second. Give me one. Okay, now keep talking.
Um, we do it with phones all the time. They've conditioned us every year that you're supposed to buy a new phone. I haven't bought a new phone in almost 4 years. I'm not going to either because this phone works fine. But
Okay.
they've conditioned us that we need to buy it. And so as a result, specifically Apple, they will actually artificially depreciate your phone where you keep less charge, less battery charge, the CPU starts slowing down to the point where your phone starts to feel unusable. And their solution is we'll just buy a new one.
Right.
So they built in the obsolescence artificially to force you to buy new stuff.
Right.
It's frustrating, man. I can go
Not
about
very much so. Um, I just looked this up, whatever here. Let me go over here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'll read it. It said, yes, Whirlpool Corporation acquired Maytag Corporation in a deal that closed on March 31st, 2006,
hmm
making Whirlpool the world's largest appliance maker and bringing brands like Maytag, Genair, Amana, I think that's what that's called,
hmm
under its umbrella. The acquisition valued around 2.6 billion. Integrated Maytag's product lines and allowed Whirlpool to offer a broader portfolio with Maytag continuing as a distinct, durable brand known for reliability. So that's what I was talking about.
hmm
Maytag has always been known for a standard that has just been crazy to it's been crazy to set
hmm
in general, right? But what happened was is that once Whirlpool acquired Maytag, Whirlpool started putting its parts inside of Maytag.
hmm
So all it did was just kept the name. Maytag within itself is dead. Their parts are no longer Maytag parts. They are Whirlpool parts. So when you're buying a Maytag, you're not buying a Maytag.
hmm
You're buying a Whirlpool with a Maytag name on it.
Yeah.
That is a fucking fact.
Yeah.
Fact. Fact.
And
It
right.
there's your information.
And
Look it up.
and let's extend it because what happens is you're buying the name Maytag with this expectation, this viewpoint of the Maytag man and the reliability of it.
Yes.
And really
Yes.
you're just buying you're buying the fantasy of it because it's not a
That's
real
it.
thing because it does that reliability went away when Whirlpool acquired them, replaced all the slow moving people who actually make sure the product is good, replace them with people that just are shipping it and getting it out the door. And so
And here's
that's
the
the same
thing.
thing that happened to Boeing.
They're not going to tell you that you're getting a subpar piece of shit
Yeah.
that's going to break down soon. They're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that at all.
Yep.
So again, that's hold on. Christopher said something else. What did you say, Chris? I think they did that on purpose, so we have to buy more. Correct.
That is.
Um, buy more, make them more money, so it can't be passed on through generations. Correct. Because here's a problem with that. When you buy something, and again, that's what happened in Germany. That's why a lot of German companies shut down
Mhm,
because they basically worked themselves out of a job.
mhm,
They made something that was so good that you only needed to buy it one time and that was it. That why do you think German engineering their cars never break down?
yeah,
Never. Like think about that. Never break down. Why do you think that during World War II, when the Americans' guns would fuck up, why do you think they would go grab their guns? Hold on, let me be
Uh,
sure before I make that statement. Hold please.
So while you're looking that up, I do probably need to correct the record on something. The Boeing Lockheed Martin thing I was referencing, yes, they've collaboratively worked together. The merger I was talking about was actually the Lockheed Corporation, um, and
Mm,
and Martin. And if I'm not mistaken, the history was one was known for, I think the Lockheed Corporation was known for their quality, and the Martin side of it was known for their speed. And
mm,
so when they merged, Lockheed's, of course, Lockheed's quality dropped. It fell off of a cliff because they were incorporating the speed of the other company, if I'm not mistaken. And I am, we're trial and error. I am open to to be corrected on this, but if I'm not mistaken, it was that's kind of what the controversy is. Uh, quality, or it may have been Lockheed. That was Lockheed is known for high quality engineering. The reputation is complex, and so they're known for innovation and everything. Criticism, the F-35 and all that other stuff. That was a big thing. I'm actually looking for the actual tipping point when they merged together and their quality took a hit after merger. But yeah, it was Lockheed and Martin Marietta after merger. So, but yeah, I had to correct the record on that one just so that I wasn't giving out misinformation about it.
okay. And I'm actually looking at the comment that I made. Actually, it is that is actually accurate. Um, because their stuff was just a better their weapons were just a better quality,
Okay.
especially their personal weapons. Um, for like emergency placement, if a soldier's rifle broke or ran out of ammo, they might grab a German's weapon. Superiority and desire. Some German weapons, like the MP40 or certain pistols, were well regarded, making them desirable for personal use or as souvenirs in general.
Hmm.
And again, you're not going to take a souvenir from your enemy unless their quality was absolutely stunning. Just saying.
Hmm.
Confusion tactic: in rare cases, units use enemy weapons to confuse the enemy into thinking that they were being attacked by their own forces. Again, you pick up somebody, nobody's going to run and pick up an American gun because the fuckers barely worked.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, again, from what I'm reading here. Oh, whatever. So, yeah, so so informal most users, official, okay, blah, 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 blah. Official, okay.
So,
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, so that's just one of those things. That's what they did.
all right, let's go ahead. I'm pulling up my notes here, Fearless, so we can wrap this up on a strong note. I will start looking up the
Perfect.
next ones because this Consolidated Law 12 has about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different laws in it.
God
So
damn, did I put that in yet?
let me put,
Oh,
I'll,
already got it. There we go.
okay.
Bam.
So
So,
you start talking about it, I'll pull up the actual law.
okay, so hearts, minds, envy, loyalty, compassion, comparison, identity, and adaptation matter more than coercion. Coercion, excuse me.
Hmm.
Oh, please, I'm gonna make this a little bigger. Okay. So psychological influence, direct force. Hearts, minds, envy, loyalty, comparison, identity, and adaptation matter more than coercion.
Yep.
Coercion.
Coercion. Yep.
Coercion. Whatever. So basically, again, uh, so base. Matter of fact, yeah. So keep going. Give me one.
Okay. So the general idea is trying to coerce people. A lot of times when we talk about the framework of coercion is basically manipulating people into doing things the way that you want them done. Um, it's not convincing. It's leveraging some kind of power, some kind of blackmail, some kind of asymmetry in power influence, and you're kind of forcing people to do things they wouldn't
So
otherwise do.
then weren't we just talking? We were just talking about this
Yep.
when you were talking about hard power versus soft power. The
Yep.
pro is that soft power scales,
Hmm.
but hard power breaks, and that's exactly what Brian was talking about. Where a soft power is law, sub order,
Hmm.
uh, stop signs, um, certain the Constitution is a soft power.
Right.
Hard power is when you enact those laws. So it's like, well, stop. Well, now I gotta arrest you. Now I'm gonna give you a ticket. Where it's something that's actually tangible, something that affects you. Now, a law is there for the most part for your protection. But what happens when the other people don't give a fuck about those laws? What happens when a person says, you know what? Yeah, everybody's supposed to pay taxes, but we're not going to. And
Hmm.
because you, and if you do it, we're going to throw your ass in jail for that.
Right.
That's a hard law versus, um, uh, excuse me, soft power versus hard power.
Right.
And the con is psychological influence takes longer. It requires more subtlety.
Hmm.
Like, so let me read that again. Psychological influence takes longer and requires subtlety. So, what does that mean to you?
So it's a longer tail. So um, if I really want to influence people and not coerce them into an action, it takes a little bit longer to establish the trust and things
Mm,
along those lines to influence them in my way of thinking, as opposed to just welding the power over them and saying you're going to do things the way I say because I have the power to ruin your life, and things along those lines. And so that's kind of how I view it. I'm gonna that's just my take on it.
no, I agree. The strongest power is the one others don't resist because if they believe it was their idea. So, and that
Yeah.
if I was listening to the CIA dude, and he said that the fastest way to break a person um, is to make them think that they're just like you, or to make them think that you're just like them.
Yeah.
Right? That's the fastest way. That's number one. The fastest way to get a person not to resist you is to get them to think that it's their idea, not yours. So when people vote against their own self interest, you got to remember they're voting not necessarily to see you suffer. They're what they're voting for is that they don't want to see you both on the same equal footing.
Yep.
So there's a difference there. It's not to see you suffer because don't nobody want no child to go hungry or this and the other. It's just a simple fact that if if we all eat at Cheddar's because we can afford it, then I would rather Cheddar's be 2 to 3 times more the cost, and I'll pay that just to make sure you're not there.
It's that it's that game, and I remember it very clearly from one of my cognitive science books, but um it's a game where you have a group of people and you sit in a circle and everybody passes money around and you do it for multiple rounds, right? And at some point somebody's going to realize, hey, I can still get money. There's specific break points where you take a break and everybody divvies up the money, right? And if everybody keeps the same amount of money circulating, everybody gets paid. But at some point somebody realizes, hey, I can keep more of my money, and just put in a little bit less, and we'll still all get paid the same amount. And so they'll start decreasing the amount that they're putting in, they're contributing, and still reaping the benefits of everybody getting paid. Well,
Mhm.
the human brain is kind of wired for that fairness thing. And so people are like, well, he's not paying the full amount. I don't need to pay the full amount. Why does he get to pay the full amount and get it what I get? Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And so If, and this is the thing, had everybody continued and realized, yeah, this person's cheating the system, but for all of us, it's beneficial to keep the money circulating because we all get the same amount and get paid, the game can go on indefinitely. But as soon as people start realizing that one person isn't paying, they start decreasing the amount they're paying, and the whole thing collapses on it in and on itself.
Hmm.
So if everybody just understands that some people are going to get more, somebody going to contribute more, some people are going to contribute less, but as long as we're all getting paid, we're cool. Um, that's the ideal. But the reality is, as soon as people realize that some people are contributing less and getting the same amount, they start decreasing their amount, and then the whole
Yeah,
game falls apart.
yeah, I get that.
But and psychologically, it would make sense. Well, if we're all getting paid, then I don't really care,
Right,
right? But that's not how the human brain works. And there's some people that are so locked in on that perceived fairness of things that they're willing to hurt themselves just to make sure that you don't get any kind of what they perceive as an advantage. And I
right.
think that's
So,
kind of where it goes.
so again, there you go with your Pyrrhic victory.
Hmm.
I mean, like literally by definition.
So I'll go through the actual laws. So law 36 is disdain the things you can't have. Disdain, not disdain, disdain. Um, Law 41 is avoid stepping into the great man's shoes. Law 42 is strike the shepherd, and the sheep will scatter. Um, Law 43 is work on hearts and minds. And Law 44 is disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect, what you were saying with the FBI cracking somebody, getting somebody to break under pressure. And Law
Hmm.
46 is never appear too perfect. And
Okay.
48 is assume formlessness. Okay. Top of the thing. Disdain the thing you can't have. All right. I don't really have much of a counter to this one. I believe that if you can have it, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. But if you can't achieve it, then you shouldn't you pursuing it. If you cannot have the thing, pursuing the thing that you cannot have is setting yourself up for heartbreak moving on. Not saying you just give up on things that you can attain, but if you know that it's unattainable, like if I stepped outside and said, I want to be able to flap my arms and fly off into the sky, I will never be able to do that ever, ever, ever in life. Ever. Not one time. No
Hmm.
matter how much I believe I can, it will never, ever, ever, ever happen to me. Never, ever happen for me. But um, I can believe it all I want to. But for me, I'm like, that's a stupid idea. And so I disdain that idea because I know it can never happen. Instead of driving myself crazy with thinking that this thing can magically happen for me.
Hmm.
So I don't have a problem with the sour grapes kind of life. Okay. Um, but the counter is if it's something you can't attain, like through focus, then absolutely you should just lock in and pursue the thing. But there's just things that ain't in the cards for you.
Right.
You know, um, avoid stepping in the great man's shoes. I don't know. I don't have some of these I don't actually have an opinion on, and so I feel like I don't want to force myself to have an opinion on it because I could really see a breakdown either way. Do you have a take on that one?
You know, not stepping in a great man's shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, again, he's already walked in them. Your
Hmm.
job is to walk in your own. You know, and again, if the next generation is smarter, a little bit better, a little bit faster than the previous, then there's no reason for you to walk in my shoes. I mean, you can take some of my guidance that I maybe uh, given you, but this is your thing, not mine.
Hmm.
Like, you know, I wouldn't walk in the shoes of my father because I mean, I don't want to walk in that man's shoes. Like he already walked in them. They worked for him, but that shit doesn't work for me. You know. Um, but my mom, on the other hand, I mean, and I think that we can try to live up to certain standards that they set.
Uh huh.
You know what I'm saying? Certain expectations that they had with certain things. Again, I mean, with certain things or whatever. But as far as walking in another person's shoes, I think that also depends on what you mean by that. Like, are you following suit to what they did,
Hmm.
or are you trying to basically be the next that person?
Right.
So if I'm like, I'm trying to be I want to be. Matter of fact, I'll give you an example. If you go in and look for it, I'm sure you'll find it. Nipsey Hussle used to tell people, "I'm the next Tupac. I'm the next Tupac." I'm dead ass. I watched him
Mhm.
say it. He ended up being like the next Tupac. Um, what was that other Takashi 6ix9ine and all them? Yeah,
Yeah.
we the new death row.
Yeah.
We the new death row. And they got exactly that.
Got yeah. Fed
You know what I'm
time and
saying?
indictments and
All that shit that came along with it. If you notice TDE, they don't compare themselves to nobody. They just want to go out and put out good music.
yeah.
Like in general. They're all gang related for the most part, but you never hear anything about the shit. Now here's the thing: are they trying to walk in the footsteps of Death Row? Fuck no,
Right.
no, not at all. And they knew Suge, but they didn't want nothing to do with that shit. They got Bloods and Crips on that label, and ain't nobody beefing with each other like that. Ain't nobody getting knocked off over there like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at that.
Well, and I think there's a specific business context that's really interesting in this because I think sometimes people feel like and I talked about it last week on another podcast I was doing, where the shark tankification of business, where people think they always got to come up with some brand new, invent something brand new in order to have success in business.
Right.
More times than not, the most successful businesses in the world are a knockoff of some other business that's been successful.
Skechers.
Yeah.
Skechers started off like that. They were always knocking off somebody else's
Hmm.
shoes. Remember when they had the that's what they did for
Right.
the longest time. They would knock off somebody else's stuff. So which one was like really popular? The Nike Air Forces.
Yeah.
They knocked those off for years. And then what did they do? Now they make their own type of shoe.
Right. So this idea that we always have to go for new and novel, I think sometimes that's a trap in and of itself. So sometimes if it suits your ends, yeah, you can absolutely walk in the great man's shoes if you're trying to use them as a blueprint for success and then just carve your own pathway once you get to a certain point. So there's benefit in it, but other times all you're doing is like, Marcus Jordan versus Michael Jordan, right? Marcus Jordan is Michael Jordan's son. He tried a basketball career, and this dude been in and out of jail. He was locked up in Omaha for a while. Um, that's walking in the great man's shoes. So there's levels to it. Um, strike the shepherd, and the sheep will scatter. Now, it assumes that there's centralized power and low individual agency.
Okay.
That's what works in authoritarian systems, sometimes with gangs. I don't like the fact that they put it in gangs, mobs, and cults. Sometimes in gangs, but sometimes gangs are decentralized. I know from juvenile probation, there are a lot of decentralized street gangs out there. And so this will not work with them. Mobs, cults, weak institutionalized structure. Where it fails, decentralized networks, strong cultures, or value driven movements. All right. The reason why they're the biggest, most glaring example I can think of, again, goes back to the Vietnam War. America came in with, if we make some high profile kills and strike and all this other stuff, and we'll just cut the head off and, the network will fall apart. It didn't. And sometimes if you strike the shepherd, the sheep are going to jump your ass. You getting jumped by some sheep because you went out and struck the shepherd and you wasn't accounting for them sheep to pull up on you. And
Right.
so the idea that that's a universal way to walk through life, you have to really know who you're playing with if you're going to have that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it's not universal because sometimes if you remove the leader in resilient systems, a stronger group will emerge because the leader was the only person keeping that group from being as bad as they could be or being as effective as they could be. And so sometimes you relieve that leader and now you get somebody who's a lot more efficient in that role. And now you have a more persistent threat. Um, that you can't rely on that all the time. And martyrdom is 100% a multiplier. with that one.
You know what, man? It's some study in my anthropology class that all
You turned your mic off, Fearless.
that all groups will be replaced.
Yeah,
All of them. I mean, just like there's a up, there's a down. All groups will be replaced. Period. So you can have the best uh, leadership team. You can have the best management team. You can have the best administrative group. All companies will come to an end.
yeah,
All groups will be replaced. All of them,
right,
without exception.
right. And nothing lasts forever.
Nothing.
And so, but this idea that all we got to do is attack the one central head of this thing, and especially, everybody else is going to go by the wayside, especially in group homework, man. I know people that tried that kind of perception. You strike the sheep and the shepherd, or strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. That didn't work at all. Um,
Right? Yeah. I mean, because again, though, like, look at those look at the kamikaze.
yeah,
Like, dude, you play with us, not a problem. We'll crash our plane into your boat. Fuck you.
right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like, I mean, like, it's serious, man. I mean, I think that, like those suicide bombers, like that. I think that there's certain people, there's certain cultures that when they say they don't give a fuck, you might want to listen.
Well, and I think a lot of it is like sometimes people ain't playing. I think we go when we step into this conflict kind of situations. We assume that everybody has the same boundaries, or like they'll go as far, they'll go up to a certain point. Some
Yeah,
people never have that. That's the entire concept of the crash out. When people start throwing around the word crash out, initially they meant, people made it like a temper tantrum or whatever. A crash out means you absolutely destroy your life in the process of getting your vengeance, or
yeah,
you willing to absolutely throw it all away and completely set everything ablaze in your interpersonal world. You're fine with the with the Pyrrhic victory. Like you 100% have decided that that's the victory you find with. That's the level of life you want to live, and you are 100% locked in on that side of it.
hmm,
You can't win. You can't do no strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter with them kind of people, bro,
no.
because you don't know what kind of hell you're unleashing upon yourself and in your interpersonal life.
I mean,
So
yeah. I mean, look at the people that were in Guantanamo Bay. Is that what that was? Guantanamo or whatever, where they were putting all them terrorists and stuff at.
yeah,
Like, think about how many terrorists they created by throwing innocent people that had nothing to do with that shit in there with criminals and murderers and
hmm,
other innocent people. You don't think that by the time they let them out, that that fuck America, fuck everybody else, and they didn't have that mindset afterwards? Come on, man.
well the entire war on drugs, where they started putting these kids into jails with serious adult offenders and three-time losers and stuff like that, people who had no option or no desire to ever get out. You started throwing kids in them jails, and what happened, those kids are going to get out eventually. And so now you've created this person that has been in contact with the most extreme element of the element that you're trying to take off the streets, and now you release them back into society, as
Hmm.
opposed to maybe we should just try working on um, a redemptive model, a rehabilitative model, as opposed to a punishing one. So there's a lot that goes into that one. So we're about 2 hours in. I think we managed to get all through all the laws, Fearless.
Yeah, we did, man.
So,
Yes, we
um,
did.
you got anything coming up, man?
You know what, man? I got school. I'm good.
All right.
I
What I
got
got
school.
what I got coming up is, again, I'm driven to teach people how to build their own online footprint, digital footprint, by recording themselves or whatever. And so that's what my you'll see my QR code if you want to get down with me and learn the process of of starting to record yourself, I encourage you to do so. This week, our assignment is the assignment I'm giving to my community is removing the fear of the camera so that your nervous system don't react to it. So all I'm asking you to do is take 60 or 90 seconds once a day, turn on the camera and just sit in front of it and stare into the camera to get your body used to being on camera. You don't have to record anything. We're just trying to remove the psychological hurdle of it.
Right. Okay.
So that's what I got, y'all. I appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week.
Yeah.
This has been Trial and Error. Brian and Fearless. Talk to you later. Peace.